Hi, and welcome to Academic English. Today we're going to look at the probing questions that come at the end of your exam after Roleplay 1, Roleplay 2, and Roleplay 3. There are two types of questions that typically come at the end of the exam, and those are the problem solution questions and the opinion question. You usually have two of these. Just as you can see in these examples from the CELBAN Centre website, there's two questions and they're usually related in topic. So they could first ask you, what is your opinion of spending time online? You have 2 minutes to respond. Okay, so this is your opinion question. And then after you finish your answer, they will follow up with, why do people spend so much time online? What are some solutions? And again, you have 2 minutes to respond. As you can see, both of these questions focus on spending time online. One is an opinion and the other one is problem solution. Let's look at another set. What is your opinion of family members helping elderly patients in long-term care facilities? You have 2 minutes to respond. And then still on that topic, why does family get involved? How can it work well? So again, first is an opinion and then you have problem solution. Focus on reasons why, and then more importantly, focus on how can it work well? What are some solutions to this? Okay, and the last set of questions from the CELBAN Centre website. What is your opinion of rotating shift work schedules in healthcare? Okay, you have 2 minutes to respond. So again, opinion. What are the challenges of shift work? How can they be addressed? Again, challenges, problem, solutions. How can they be addressed? And again, you have 2 minutes to respond. So some things to keep in mind, because this is a probing question, you need to follow a certain organization, and we talked about that before in other videos about speaking probing questions. First, you need to have an introduction. In the introduction, you basically restate the topic or the question, the keywords in the question, and you insert your opinion. So if you think shift work, for example, has more advantages, then you could say, in my opinion, rotating shifts in the healthcare industry is very beneficial. If you think there are only disadvantages, you could say, I truly believe that shift work has a negative impact on the workers in the healthcare system. Or, and this is a very good thing to keep in mind, in CELBAN, they want you to talk about both sides. There will be some questions where you strongly agree with something or strongly disagree, but it's always a good idea to acknowledge the other side of the statement. So try to talk about both advantages and disadvantages. So in this case, what I would do, I would have a point for an advantage and a point for disadvantage. So you could say, in my perspective, shift work in the healthcare industry has both advantages and disadvantages. Okay, that is your introduction. After the introduction, you will have two main points. So have first main point, use transitions or linking words, and after you stated your main point, then you develop, give more details, or you could give personal examples. It's always a good idea to give personal examples. About one example per answer. You don't want to have too many examples. Okay, so if you talk about the first point as being an advantage, develop that a little bit or give a personal example, and then go on to the second main point, which it could be a disadvantage or another advantage, and then you could again develop and or give an example. And after you did all of that, you go to the conclusion. In the conclusion, you could restate the topic. You could say, to sum up, these are some advantages and disadvantages of shift work in the healthcare system. Or you could repeat the main points very briefly. So if you talked about the language of opinion, obviously you don't want to seem too informal because this is a speaking interview. In a workplace scenario, you will have to be either semi-formal or formal in the way you talk to your coworkers or to your supervisors. So it's okay to say, I think, I believe, or I feel. But what's better is to say, in my view, in my opinion, in my perspective, or you could say, I personally believe or feel or think that my personal perspective or opinion is. And if you want to be formal, you could say, it is generally agreed or accepted or believed that. Most people would argue that. I would stick to semi-formal and formal when giving your answer. But if nothing comes to mind, you could just say, I think or I believe. Okay, supporting points. These are some transition words. So you could say for the first main point, you could say first, First of all, one reason or suggestion or method is, the main reason or recommendation or way is, to begin with. Moving on to the second point, you could say another reason or suggestion or method is, second or second of all, moreover, furthermore, in addition, an additional reason is. You could also say a final reason is, or lastly, last but not least, one last recommendation is, or suggestion or reason. And for the conclusion, you could say to sum up, to summarize, in conclusion, to conclude, in a nutshell, all in all, in short, to wrap up. There's a lot of different linking words that you can use. And remember, you have 3 probing questions in your exam. So try to use a different one for each probing question. So every time you talk about a first main point, maybe try to use a different transition word. And remember, you are being marked for using transition words. It's very important to use them. Now, when you talk about giving suggestions, you could say one suggestion, recommendation, advice, solution is to, or my suggestion, my recommendation, my advice. You could use verbs. I suggest, I recommend, I advise. You could also use adjectives. It is advisable, it is recommended, it is suggested that. And this is for the problem solution questions. And you can say with modals, you could say hospitals can, families can, people can, the government can or should. You could use conditional. So you could say if the families are involved in taking care of their elderly parents, then it will lighten the load for the healthcare workers. Okay, so try to use a variety of grammatical structures. Remember, grammar is worth twice the points. On the CELBAN Centre website, you have a self-evaluation that you can conduct after or when you practice giving your answers. For the probing question, what applies is basically, did you express your opinion or perspective? Did you expand your points and ideas? Did you develop with details or examples? Did you give solutions, right, for the solution question? And also for the probing question, what applies is, did you have good pronunciation and fluency? Did you organize your idea? Did you use accurate and complex grammar? Did you basically use a variety of grammatical structures? How about your vocabulary? Did you use synonyms? Did you use words related to the task accurately? Okay, now let's practice. For each of these questions, think of the question, do some research, because sometimes it's difficult to come up with main points for these questions. So you can do some research on the question and then record your answer. And after you recorded your answer, listen to it and do the self-evaluation check that the CELBAN Centre posted. You could go through this checklist and see how you did. After each answer, you could get somebody else to listen to your response and see how you did and give you some feedback. You can give yourself feedback because now you know what you need in terms of organization, transition words, grammar when giving solutions, and so on. When we talk about the first set of questions, the first question was, what is your opinion of spending time online? What are some advantages and disadvantages? Basically, that is what the question is asking. And again, you can research the topics. There's no shame in that. We are not expected to know all of this, but try to familiarize yourself with some of the most common topics on the exams for speaking, and do some research if you get stuck in coming up with ideas. So as you can see from my Google search, it says global connections through virtual communications. That's true. You're not limited to your own group of friends. You can communicate globally. Right? You don't have to be in the same place at the same time. E-commerce, yes, selling things online. Online education, yes, just like you're doing right now. The abundance of information, which many times is more up to date than what you will get in books. Now, on the disadvantages, you have loss of personal information. Yes, there's a lot of personal information out there that maybe we don't want it to be on the internet. Spread of fake news. Yes, that happened a lot during the pandemic. You can give some examples from that. Internet addiction and time wastage. Yes, our quality time with our families is affected because we tend to be glued to the phone. Physical and mental health issues. Physical, body dysmorphia, thank you Instagram, and mental health issues, again because of comparing our lives to others or just being exposed to too much Negative content can also have an impact on our mental health. So these are just some advantages and disadvantages that I found on my Google search. Thank you, Google. Okay, now you can try it. You could think about the topic, decide if you're going to talk about advantages or disadvantages, and then record yourself giving your answer. So let's do that. You have 2 minutes. Good. Now, let's move on to the next question. Why do people spend so much time online? What are some solutions? So, in the introduction, mention some of the reasons why people spend so much time online and then focus mainly on the solutions. The first solution is another suggestion or recommendation is. And again, from a quick Google search, these are some recommendations. There's actually a lot here. Keep track of time that's spent online, switch off before going to bed, create technology free zones, either in your house or environment, encourage other activities, create a plan to limit your internet use or your children's. Leave the phone at home when you go for a walk or a hike, or no phones at the table, take regular breaks, turn off notifications. That's a big one. Communicate boundaries. I think what this means is for text messages coming in. So after bedtime, for example, you don't want your phone to be buzzing, although you could also just switch it off. Delete apps. Consider alternatives to screen time. Free yourself from your phone. Limit checks. Set time limits. Spend more quality time with friends. Talk with someone about it if it's an addiction, which I think for most of us it's a little bit of an addiction. Okay, these are just some suggestions that Google recommended. Now try to think of some reasons. Choose two of these suggestions or solutions to talk about and start giving your answer. Don't forget to develop with details and examples.
Thank you. Now I'd like you to expand on your answer. Why do people spend so much free time on technology nowadays? And what are some possible solutions to this problem?
You have 2 minutes to respond.
Okay, we've now finished the role play practice. Next, I will ask a discussion question. Here's your topic. Shift work is common in healthcare, and nurses often work rotating day and night shifts, some up to 12 hours. What is your opinion of shift work? Thank you. Now, I'd like you to expand on your answer. What are some of the challenges that shift work presents? And how can nurses deal with these challenges?
Okay, we've now finished the role play practice. Next, I will ask a discussion question. Here is your topic. Many elderly patients in long-term care facilities have well-meaning family members who help with their personal care. What do you think about family members helping out this way? Thank you. Now, I'd like you to expand on your answer. What are some of the reasons that family gets involved in this way? And what can be done to make this situation work well for everyone involved?
Thank you for being here for this video. I hope you got some valuable information and some very good practice out of these questions. You can keep practicing with these questions. So if they come on your exam, you already know how to answer them or have an idea at least of what main points you could include in your answer. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.